Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of council of the Council of the Township of North Dundas, today being February 25th, 2026. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The meeting's called to order at 4:31 p.m. And we're going to move to adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and nature thereof? Seeing none, we're going to move right into public meetings. We have two public meetings this evening. The first meeting is a zoning amendment, the Village of Chesterfield bylaw number 0495, and we'll start off with Director Pohl. Director Pohl.
That works. Good. So we're looking at two zoning amendments this evening. I'll go through the First Amendment slowly, and we'll have a question period afterwards, following which we'll look at the Second Amendment and give people opportunity between the two for questions and responses to whatever questions or comments people have. So with regard to the first meeting we're looking at this evening, I should make sure the pointer's working. We're looking at a zoning amendment in the Village of Chesterfield. Actually, both amendments this evening are in Chesterfield. Just as a background, whenever council considers a zoning amendment, there is certain regulations and requirements under the Planning Act with people for appeals and things like that. And currently under section 3419, it states that only a specified person, a public body, or the registered owner can, upon making oral or written submissions at or before this public meeting, can appeal the decision of the Council of the Township of North Dundas to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So in the past, there were rights of residents, neighbors, and things like that to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but that's been taken away in recent years by the provincial government. So with regard to the amendment we're looking at this evening, it's an application to rezone the subject lands from residential second density to a special exception zone 6 in the second density zone. The property is highlighted on the screen with regard to what's being applied for. It's legally described as Lot 84 on Plan 112 in the Village of Chesterfield. The civic address is 44 Laurie Lane. Part of the process to adopt a zoning amendment or consider a zoning amendment is we have to put signs on the property 20 days in advance of the public meeting, and those were posted. Also, we have to mail out notice to the neighbors within 120 meters. That's a requirement under the Planning Act, and that's been done also on the same February 4th. So this is a picture of the image we're looking at, or what's on the property. The existing use is there's an existing garage on the property. The proposed use is a continued use of the existing use as a permitted use. The official plan has it within a residential district, and it's in the urban settlement area. Under the official plan, that's the county official plan. For the zoning, it's in the residential second density zone, and it's approximately 647.5 square meters the lot. It is a fully serviced urban lot. So just some background to how we're ending up where we are. There was a building permit issued on this property for the garage at 40 Laurie Lane, for a house at 40 Laurie Lane, tongue twister, and a garage at 44 Laurie Lane. The properties were supposed to be merged. There was a permit granted with the understanding that the owner was going to merge these two residential lots together. It's in a subdivision. They were the same owner, so the permit was issued under the guise that it was going to be merged together. That did not happen. The lot merger was not completed. It is a complex process when you're in a subdivision of merging lots and how you have to keep a certain piece out of it when you merge under the current laws of the registry office. So it was not merged, and it's existed as an illegal, non-conforming structure since its construction. Part lot control is going to be used to adjust the property line. They're looking at trying to sell this as a separate lot now, but it has an illegal building on it as the accessory building. But the accessory building, the garage, was built slightly too close to the property line, so they have to do a little adjustment to move that line over, and they'll do that through part lot control to bring it into conformity with the zoning. So the purpose this evening the council's looking at is to put an exception zone that'll allow basically the accessory use, the garage, on a property without the primary use being the house, because these are separate lots. Their intent is to sell the lot with the garage on it, and then someone buys it and builds the house so that they have a garage already built on the property. So that's what's being considered by council this evening. Part of the things the council has to look at is the provincial planning statement from 2024. It is a requirement under Section 3 of the Planning Act, and it has certain policies and things in there that you have to follow. Municipalities and decision makers such as council must follow these. And under Section 216, it talks about accommodating an appropriate range and mix of land uses and housing options. And another section under 231, it talks about land use patterns within settlement areas that should be based on densities and a mix of land uses which effectively use the land use and resources and optimize existing and planned infrastructure. And this lot has infrastructure associated with it. There is water and sewer connections available to it. Another document council has to consider is the official plan from the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Buildings and structures, accessory uses that are normally incidental, accessory, or essential to a permitted use will also be allowed. So that talks about this detached garage. They are typically allowed on a lot, but as an accessory use, not a primary use. Secondly, the lot size shall be adequate for all existing, proposed, and future or potential future land uses, including the expansion of buildings, structures above and below the ground, and any associated private water and sewer services. It also talks about uses permitted in all designations. Accessory uses to the main are permitted. So right now, the zoning bylaw, the specific wording in it talks about no person shall use any land or erect, alter, or use any building or structure in a residential second density zone except in accordance with the following provisions. And it does allow for accessory uses, but they have to be accessory to a principal use being the house. That's why this is an illegal use right now unless council rezones it. The accessory use provisions talk about where you're allowed to have a lot with an accessory use if you have the primary use. That's the second part. So part of the process is we circulate this to ministries and public bodies. We receive no responses back or no comments back from them. We did receive a comment from the neighbors for their circulation. An adjacent neighbor inquired about by email regarding the conformity with the zoning and our intent to recognize the existing garage as a permitted structure on the property. So they were just inquiring about what exactly was happening with the property. So from here, I'll turn it back to the mayor for questions and comments. You'll be asked to state your name and address and come to the mic so that the audio can pick it up.
Thank you, Director Paul. So as Director Paul mentioned, are there any questions, comments from members of the public? Seeing none, is the applicant present? And would the applicant like to make a comment? Seeing that's not taking place either. Any questions, comments from members of council? Seeing none, that concludes the first public meeting, and we'll move into the second one. The second public meeting, the zoning amendment, Village of Chesterfield, same bylaw 0495, and I turn it over to Director Paul once again.
All right, so I have a similar amendment. It's actually both in Chesterfield this time from Orion Abels. Once again, the appeal process, I won't get into the details. So this is legally described as Lot 6 and part of Lot 5 on Plan 81. So it was a former plan of subdivision within the Village of Chesterfield. It's known as 58 and 60 South Street West in Chesterfield. Once again, we have to circulate it and put a sign on the property, circulate the notice of what's intended tonight. Some of the background, this existing use has 2 residential dwellings. It's a semi-detached right now within it. And the proposed use is to put 4 units all together in this building. So 2 basement apartments on either side of the semi-detached. The official plan has it within a residential district in the urban settlement area, and the zoning is residential first density, which does allow a semi-detached but not a 4-plex. The other choice, just if I may, the other choice that they had available to them is to sever the property into 2, and then you've got a semi-detached that's actually a unit, and then put units in the basement. It's another way, then you'd still conform, but they chose to go for the other route to keep it as one property and create the 4-plex. So there's 2 options available for them. The purpose is to amend the zoning from an R1 zone to an R2 to allow from a semi to 4-plex on the property. The effect of the approval is that a fourplex would be permitted as a use. This would allow the owner to renovate the existing building to add 2 residential units in the basement of this building or structure. Part of, I noted earlier, part of the process is to look at the provincial policy statements. They do talk about accommodating a range of mixed land uses and housing options. It talks about permitting all housing options required to meet the social, economic, or the health and economic well-being of the requirements of current and future residents. And it also talks about land use patterns within settlement areas should be based on densities and a mix of land uses which optimize existing and planned infrastructure. The provincial policy statement of the province has really been pushing for housing and affordable housing. That's another statement in there, pushing municipalities and people, developers, to create affordable housing and a mix of housing. The official plan also has policies similar to what we looked at the earlier one. It's within an urban settlement area. Residential commercial employment district areas are where the primary permitted land uses are residential, commercial, villages. The lot size shall be adequate for all existing potential future land uses, including the expansion of the buildings or structures above and below ground and any associated private water and sewer services. This is a service building, so there's no impact on these services other than they have to make sure the pipe sizes are adequate to accommodate the additional units. And it's in a residential district, which allows a full range of low, medium, and high-density housing. So right now, the zoning bylaw in the R1, as I pointed out earlier, it allows for single detached, semi-detached, and duplexes. The R2 allows for triplexes, fourplexes, and converted dwellings. One note here is you see this list. The province has, since this bylaw was created in the last year and a half, the province now allows within urban areas, if you're serviced, up to 3 residential units in an existing building. So you can have 3 units on a residential property right now as of a right. Municipalities aren't allowed to prevent that through its zoning bylaw. You can't prevent it. So if you have a house right now in an urban area, you can put 2 apartments in it and have your existing house, or add on to it so that you can create 3 units on an urban lot. So they're pushing and pushing for affordable housing for, housing period. You probably heard it in the news and, how much money's being rolled out for that. They've overridden zoning bylaws now to say this is what you're allowed as of a right. Comments received, we received no comments from ministries or public bodies with regard to this. From the public, we just received this morning concerns, questions from a nearby resident. I've distributed that to council. Council should have that with them. The whole letter, let me quickly show you. I'll just summarize it. There's actually two pages of concerns. One of the main concerns was parking with regard to it's in a school zone and on-street parking. The redevelopment of this property to 4 units will have to meet the parking standards contained in the zoning bylaw. There is standards in the bylaw. They'll have to meet that. One note is the province has now introduced stack parking as a permit. You can stack cars, especially with semi-detached and townhouse developments. You're allowed to have the parking behind each other to accommodate what you need to provide parking spaces. They've also changed some of the rules as far as how many parking spaces are required. When you add a unit like this, you can't force them to put 2 parking spaces. You can only force them to add 1 parking space. You can't ask for more than 1 for additional units. And also, we have a parking bylaw and enforcement if necessary. One of the concerns that was mentioned in the comments was with regard to on-street parking, if there's overflow and being in the way of school buses and things like that. We do have a parking bylaw that deals with that, and it has limits on overnight parking, especially winter parking and stuff like that. That addresses all of that, and we do have enforcement that we do in the winter also for that. The other concern was precedent, that it would set a precedent allowing this and the zoning implications. Intensification is being pushed by the province as well as affordable housing. There's quite a push for intensification such as what's being proposed. As I noted earlier, you're permitted up to 3 units right now in an urban area as of a right. So if they were to even sever this property in half, they would be allowed 3 units in each side. And we do have a similar one in the other side of 43 in the Thompson subdivision, We've had proposals there where a single detached is proposed, and now people are putting a semi-detached with 2 units in there. So you're ending up with 6 units on a lot that was designed for 1 unit. But they're allowed by the province now to have 6 units on that property by splitting it in half. So we are getting, there's some precedents already established in that subdivision. Impacts on water supply. The impact of, do we have enough water for this type of intensification? Yes, we do. We have a new municipal well that's coming online in the end of this, end of March, I believe it is. It is working right now, but we're doing the tests on it and making sure that brings in another additional, I think it's 850 or so additional units of capacity will be available for development. There is no municipal wells in Chesterville right now. The one well that we did is now been closed for some time now, so it doesn't affect the groundwater within Chesterville itself. And this unit is connected to municipal water and sewer and will have to be connected. The other question was with regard to fire safety and emergency access. There's no change to the existing access. There's actually no change to the exterior of the building, my understanding, is these units are just actually going in the basement. So fire access to the building will not be impacted. Renovations will have to meet the Ontario Building Code as far as fire separations between units. There's requirements to add additional drywall and certain walls that are joining each other. You need 5/8 drywall and some other issues that come in that. That's all part of the building process. Any building permit, they have to meet the Ontario Building Code as well as the fire code with regard to separations and things like that. And that summarizes the comments we've received. And with that, I'll turn it back to the mayor.
Thank you, Director Paul. Any questions, comments from members of the public? Okay, sir. Whenever you sit down, if you just make sure you put your name and address down and then speak out loud about it so that the clerk can record that. Thank you.
Loud has never been a problem.
Excellent.
Quiet might be a problem, loud's never a problem. So my name is Darren Cooper. I live at 62 South Street West. So for my first comment is more of a concern of changing the zoning from low-density housing to medium or R2. I don't like, as they mentioned, my neighbors mentioned, I don't like the precedent that sets. When I moved to Chesterville, I loved the fact that it was a nice, quiet neighborhood, single-unit houses. You know, there's kids around and stuff like that. But as we start adding more and more people, it gets crowded, and it's no different than living in Ottawa downtown in fourplexes, right? That's one of the benefits of buying a house in a quiet neighborhood. Water tables talked about. Erosion of the neighborhood character, and that talks to triplexes and fourplexes again. It's a beautiful neighborhood with nice houses, well kept. Very few rental, not that rentals can't be well kept, they can, but the pride of ownership is not there with rentals as it is with normal houses. And the last one I had was, oh, we talked about precedents already. Loss of privacy. So it's a quiet neighborhood, easy to talk to your neighbors and stuff. The problem I have with rentals is it's transient, and it's, you know, you don't know your people next door, or they may not know you. So it takes away a little bit from your privacy. The last thing I have is there's a benefit for the person that puts the money together, but there's no benefit for anybody around them. So you lose property value. You're not going to recoup that easily. If it's good renters, you won't lose anything. If it's bad renters, you could lose property value. And that's all I have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper, for that presentation. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the public? Are you the applicant? We'll get to you right away. So if there's no one else from members of the public, then I'll ask if the applicant's present. Yes, and please come ahead, the same format. Your name, address out loud, and please write it down on the form as well. Thank you.
My name Oh, my bad. So do I have to say that all over again? Oh, come on.
Well,
Come
my
on, you guys
apologies,
are
Mr.
making me
Abels.
nervous. I didn't expect
My
that.
apologies. If you just start again, because we need to capture that.
Okay,
If
not a
you don't
problem.
mind, as best you can. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. So my name is Ryan Abels. I live at 10 Riverside Drive in Chesterville. I'm the applicant for the rezoning. So the idea behind the rezoning is to allow me to have 4 units, and currently that there's 2 units there. And the idea is to create affordable housing. Everything's going to be done legally, done properly, done well. I want to create, I'm not here to create these like shitty looking basement apartments. I want people that are going to be in there respecting my property because I look after my properties. Like I have snow removal that's done. I have grass removal that's done. So like, and I totally respect the neighbors of that property as well. So like, I don't want, I don't want negativity from my neighbors because that's not the type of person that I am or the landlord that I want to be. So as I mentioned, upstairs currently there's a single lady. She's a teacher at St. Mary's. Another lady that's a retired. She's been in Chesterville, I think, for 40 years, she said. So, I mean, these are good people that are living here. And that's the idea that I find for the basement units as well.
Thank you for your comments. If there's nothing else,
No, I don't believe so.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. We don't. We got to tape that closed or tape it so it doesn't get touched. That's not the first time either, Mr. Cooper. So don't worry. You're not the first to do that. Questions, comments from members of council. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to repeat what Mr. Pohl mentioned before, is that there's now provincial legislation that says that one house can now be converted into 3 units. And Mr. Pohl, I don't think we can disagree with that, right?
That's correct. It's as of a right.
It is a right.
Yep.
And so our hands are tied somewhat for that. The other point I want to make is that for anyone that wants to add 2 units to their home, it is a right, but you still have to apply for water and sewer. That has to be available to be able to do that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anything else from members of council? Seeing none, this concludes our second and the last public meeting. So thank you to Director Pohl, and thanks to those that attended for the public meeting. We're going to move right into delegations. And we have 3 delegations tonight. And the first delegation is from the SDG Library. We have Rebecca Luck, our Director of Library Services, as well, a library board member, Joanne McCaslin's here to either support or sit up front with Ms. Luck. I guess she's here to support. Hello, Rebecca. How are you?
Hello, and well, and yourself?
I'm good, thanks. We're all good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff, and the public who may be watching. My name is Rebecca Luck. I'm the Director of Library Services at SDG Library. Big shout out in conjunction with what Mayor Fraser said. Thank you to Joanne who showed up tonight to listen to my presentation. She sits on our library board. So I'm just going to be here tonight to talk to you all about the SDG Library, what we've done in the past year, and where we're heading towards in the future. So the Township of North Dundas has 3 library branches and 1 express depot. The Chesterville branch is often viewed as a safe space for community members, especially for those who rely on branch's computers and internet services. The branch is open 17 hours per week, and in 2025, the Chesterville branch circulated over 8,000 print materials, 1,400 digital materials. Patrons used the computers for 245 hours. We welcome 288 library patrons, 4,300 visitors, and we signed up 88 new members at Chesterville alone. The Chesterville branch remains a safe and inviting space for all ages, offering programs such as the Chesterville Book Club, which they nickname themselves the Book Line and Thinkers. They also have a recurring program as the Knitting Circle. But Chesterville also offers a multitude of other programs that are offered seasonally and throughout the year. I listed a few of these programs just to give you an idea of what they offer. We have a craft, a wet felted flower, create a beaded keychain, create a cathedral window, a quilt ornament, fun with clay, learn to knit, and then we also have create it with Cricut, pots and jars. In 2025, we welcomed 132 adults to these programs and nearly 300 children. The South Mountain branch has an amazing group of volunteers known as the Friends of the South Mountain Library Group. The South Mountain branch is open 16 hours per week, and in 2025, the South Mountain branch circulated almost 10,000 print materials, 940 digital materials. We had 78 hours of computer usage, 270 library patrons, 3,400 visitors, and 85 new members. The South Mountain branch serves as a community hub, hosting programs such as the Community Craft Circle, the Homeschool Explorers, Baby and Tot Playtime, and Scrabble Club. I must say, for anyone who ever goes into South Mountain, they have a very nice homeschooling group that uses the library quite frequently. Very much in similar tone to Chesterville, we also offer a multitude of different programs. We had a Ukrainian Pysanky egg workshop, natural wreath workshop, after school lab of learning, movies at the library, and we also welcomed a local author, Grace R. Pringle, who's the author of young adult fantasy Silver Blood. So we do try and promote from within the community and really showcase our natural talent. In 2025, we welcomed 130 adults to these programs and 403 children. So lastly, we have the Winchester branch. It's uniquely located, being adjacent to the hospital, the school, and it's above the OPP station. The branch is open 44 hours a week, and in 2025, the Winchester branch circulated over 24,000 print materials, over 2,400 digital materials. We had over 1,700 hours of public computer usage, 775 library patrons, over 13,000 visitors, and nearly 300 new members. The Winchester branch offers a wide variety of programming, including the Homeschool Explorers. They have their own book club called the Chapter Chat, the Snack and Study Group, and an after-school club. I was there just before this meeting, and Chantal, who is our LSA there, is just absolutely fabulous, and she was just welcoming all the students and new families to the branch, and in the span of, I think, half an hour, there was a large group of people that were making use of the library, which was nice to see. So in similar manner to the other branches, we host a variety of programs. We had a program on understanding tariffs and their impact on housing costs, created with Cricut, Summer Signs. We hosted local authors, so we had Daryl Menard and Sophie Branchot. We had a Build a Bug Hotel, Earth Day Seed Swap, Crafting for a Cause, and we crafted a no-sew bunny. Sorry, I should mention on that slide, we welcomed 124 adults, but what I'd like to draw your attention to is the number of children and teens that we welcomed to these programs, over 1,600. So it's by far a very popular and well-used branch for kids and teens. So in 2023, we opened Morewood Express Depot, which provides patrons with an alternate service option for picking up and returning library materials. What this means is that you can go onto the library website and go to the catalog and say, I want to borrow the newest, so for example, I was on there today, I was seeing that they have a trailer out for the Hail Mary project for a movie, but it's actually based on Andy Weir's book. So you go to the catalog and you go to borrow that book, and what Morewood patrons can do is they can have that book shipped over to Shelley's Seashell Salon. They can pick up their book there instead of going to another branch. And when they're done with the book, they can either drop it off at any one of our branch locations or specifically to the Morewood Community Center, which has that blue bin that they can just return their items to. So in 2025, we circulated 479 items and we had 79 borrowers. So as part of our community outreach initiative, SDG Library is popping up all across the community. In 2025, we participated in the Care For presentation at Nelson Laprade. We attended the Art on the Waterfront, and we hosted the TD Summer Reading Club launch party there at Nelson Laprade. What I should mention is that the numbers in the brackets represent the number of interactions with the public at each of these events. In South Mountain, we hosted the Nation View Story Walk, and we also attended the Meet Me on Main. In Winchester, we hosted 4 different story walks throughout the summer. We were there for the Mayoral Challenge, and we were there for the BGC Where to Turn teen mental health event. So these are just community events that were within the branch locations, but we were also in North Dundas for other reasons. We were at the Meet Me on Main Hallville, and we were also at Morewood's Truth and Reconciliation event, which brought in 31 interactions. So Winchester also does a lot of, I shouldn't say just Winchester alone. Our branches do a lot of community outreach. So Winchester conducts monthly outreach services to Dundas Manor, and what they do is they bring them books. They also bring a book box to Naomi House, and we also welcome visits from the Winchester Public School. So we host visits with their kindergarten classes, their grade 3, 4, 5 class, and their grade 5 class. Similarly, Chesterville conducted outreach services to Garden Villa, and we host biweekly visits from St. Mary's Catholic School, a grade 1 immersion class, and a grade 1-2 core class. When a lot of people think of the library, they think of books, and that's all that the library can offer. But I would be remiss to not use this opportunity as a bit of a sales pitch, and that you can do so much more. So North Dundas residents are encouraged to visit and explore their local library to borrow books, DVDs, magazines. But you can also go to the library to access free Wi-Fi. You can print, scan, fax, copy. You can use a computer. As we saw in the previous slide, we have lots of computer usage. You can attend a program. You can borrow museum passes. We have park passes. We have the Nature Museum. We have the Science and Technology Museum. We have the Ingenium Pass, all free to anyone who owns a library card. You can borrow a musical instrument. So for anyone who has a kid who wants to learn to play the guitar, but if they're anything like my children, they'll play it for maybe a few weeks and then they'll put it down. You can go to the library and you can borrow a guitar. You can play games, do puzzles. You can borrow nature and exercise kits. The Zumba kit is oddly quite popular still. And you can also play board games, which we saw at our last library board meeting, our very popular new collection. At the SDG Library, community members can connect to their digital library, where they can listen to audiobooks, they can borrow ebooks, comics, and magazines. They can read e-newspapers through Press Reader, listen to radio shows, watch movies and TV series through Canopy. They can watch craft tutorials through our app called Create a Bug, learn languages, learn new skills using LinkedIn Learning, and they can also learn with Canadian Encyclopedia. For those looking to create, community members can turn their imagination to reality with the use of 3D printers, vinyl printing, sewing machines, button makers. We have a converter for VHS to DVD, a die cut machine, laser engraver, sublimation printing, and scanning photos. These are all offered at the Finch Library, but Winchester branch alone also has a 3D printer. And I brought some, I think they're pretty cool. They're articulated 3D prints that are extremely popular with kids. So I brought a box of these fidgets because we just mass produce them, but the kids just love them. And what's really nice is that you'll have community members using the 3D printers, not just to make fun little, fidgets and little gadgets and such, but they'll actually use Tinkercad and they'll create their own 3D prints for, you have a vacuum and you need to replace one single little piece of the vacuum, but you don't want to buy a new vacuum. They use the 3D printer for projects like this. So we were talking about the Maker Lab, and what the Maker Lab really just means is that it's a place to bring imagination and creativity and to explore in such a way that it's a crafty either program or activity. So we offer a variety of activities and programs that are Maker Lab oriented. And one example was over March break, we had sublimation bookmarks. And so every kid was invited to their local library branch to create their own colorful works of art. This year we're hosting for March break a bookmark contest. So we're creating templates. The kids go home, they color and they create their own bookmark, and then we vote. And that winner will be professionally created into a bookmark that will be in all of our branches. Another example of Maker Lab activities was the Take and Make kits. So we created 240 kits, and what each kit has is what's shown in the picture on the right. We used everything in the Maker Lab to create this. We used the Cricut to create the outline of a bookmark and to punch the holes at the designated locations. We used our 3D printer to create a sewing needle made of plastic, and we provide everyone with thread. And the kids took home this kit, and within a month they were all taken and used, and they were able to create their own little bookmarks. I'm actually quite excited about this one. This was a new partnership that we created in 2025. So the SCG Library formed a new partnership with the Upper Canada District School Board and its Parent Involvement Committee. And thanks to the generous donation from the Upper Canada District School Board PIC Committee, the SCG Library curated a collection of over 450 titles designed to support parents, children, and teens. The diverse collection and selection includes both fiction and nonfiction with a strong focus on Canadian authors and themes that matter to families. So we're talking about themes such as parenting strategies, getting kids off of screen time, mental well-being, and post-secondary planning. So this investment of 450 titles was over $13,000. And what's great is that this collection is hosted at the SCG Library, but it's available for anyone within the Upper Canada District School Board geographical region. The SCG Library hosts the TD Summer Reading Club all summer long. It's a program designed to inspire children to build their literacy skills. It's a program that's brought to kids with 2 summer students, and they go to all 15 branches to provide stories, themed crafts, activities, and a reading challenge for children. It's ran over 7 weeks over the summer, and you can see there was a definite increase in the number of attendees in 2025. We welcomed over 1,300 children. And if you'll recall, I said that there was a reading challenge. We received over 4,000 reading ballots, and so you can do the math on how much this program really promotes children in reading and developing that early literacy. I would be remiss if I didn't mention SCG Reads. So it's Slogan Day One Book, One Community program that encourages all residents to come together to read the same title. Last year we featured author Nita Prose in her series Molly the Maid. We were hosted at the North Stormont Place in October, and we were at full capacity of the hall. We welcomed over 200 attendees and 30 VIPs. The collection of books that we had for Molly the Maid circulated 256 times, and above and beyond that, we sold 136 books for people to own, sign with the author, and such. I'd like to touch on Pages for Presence, which we launched in 2024. And in the month of November, Pages for Presence invites community members to help spread the joy of reading by donating new books to children in need. So in 2025, we received 216 books from community members, and we distributed it to families in need through Child's Aid Society, Koala Place, Naomi's Family Resource Center, and the House of Lazarus. I've spent a lot of time talking about what we did in 2025, but if I could just take a moment to talk about what we're going to be doing in 2026, we're going to continue doing all the amazing programs, events, and community outreach that we currently do and have developed over the years. But we're also going to be going into a new strategic plan. We're going to be looking at a new feasibility study for a possible expansion. We're going to be completing a membership drive in the month of October as part of our Ontario Public Library Month. We're going to see some amazing facility improvements at your local South Mountain Library, which will be receiving a new carpet, new shelves, and new coat of paint. And lastly, I'm very excited to talk about a new program that we're also rolling out, which is the launch of the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, which is exactly as it sounds, in that we encourage kids to read 1,000 books before they reach kindergarten. And it has developmental stages in which they're given certificates and little prizes for each milestone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present and talk a little bit about the SDG Library. If there's any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Luck. And we have a question from Councillor Lennox.
Thank you, Rebecca. Let's get down to the brass tacks here. How many, I like the metrics and stats within your presentation. How many tardy book users are out there? Because we have Mr. Smurl here who can ensure those books are returned. Now, that's a rhetorical, silly question, but I would like to hear about Storytime Kits. And just, is anyone in North Dundas going to benefit from those, or?
First, to answer your first question, even though it was rhetorical, we are fine free. So for those tardy individuals, there's no fees. Secondly, we do have Storytime Kits, but I think that may be different from what you were, if you could just, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, if you could elaborate on what you're asking.
My understanding is that the SDG Library received a grant, Sarah Badgley, and you were contacted personally via her parent, Carrie. And so I'm just trying to let you pitch and sell something more.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for bringing that up. Yes, we were the successful award grant for the Sarah Badgley grant. It was in the amount of $500, and that went towards the creation of 10 unique Storytime kits. And what that means is that it's a kit that you can take home, and it has 2 themed books. So for example, you would have a theme of counting, and so it's aged 2 to 8 years old. So maybe you have a Hungry Caterpillar book, and you have another sort of counting book, and you're given a manipulative toy. You're given some reading instructions on how you as the parent or the caregiver can help your child read and explore through those manipulatives. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions, comments? Well, as then I'll jump in. And as a proud member of the library SDG Library Board, I just want to make a comment that as wonderful as everything has been presented, all the wonderful things that have been presented, let me rephrase that, all the wonderful things that take place at our SDG libraries and those in North Dundas, as wonderful as the presentation is, it is so much more than that. I stopped in at the South Mountain branch the other day, and to see people in there just being part of the community. It's and you mentioned a safe place, a safe space. It's not just a safe space for youngsters or young teens or teenagers. It's a safe space for adults and or people of all ages. And it was nice to walk in there and feel the comfort level in the South Mountain branch, and to see that in action, and to have a chance to visit with the LSA and get an overview of what's going on locally. But the numbers I think that Ms. Luck has presented to us speak for themselves. The growth that's taken place, the efforts of staff of Ms. Luck as the director, and of all the people that work on our behalf at the SDG branches. They need to be commended because it is a vocation, it's a passion, I know, for those people, but what they do for us is measurable, but I don't think we really grasp how important it is, and I want to thank you for everything that goes on, and just a reminder to those that don't have a library card, get a library card. We need to keep those numbers on the increase, and efforts are being made to ensure that we're available, or the library is available to everyone, and it is a wonderful place. It offers more than just books. It offers a sense of community. So thank you, Ms. Luck, for that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if I can just add, thank you, Councillor Lennox, for your question. I think it threw me because it wasn't part of this presentation, but it really goes to show how much the municipality of North Dundas really cares, and it shows that you went above and beyond and are looking for those news articles about the SDG library, because that is a recent win and a recent implementation to the library system. So thank you for your thoughtful caring and for allowing me to speak tonight.
Well, our thanks to you. Thank you. We're going to move on to the delegation from Dundas Manor, and we have Susan Poirier here, the administrator, and Susan is with the Charlie Boland, the CEO, I think I'm correct to say? And Vice Chair of the Board, Bill Smurl. Ms. Poirier, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me this evening. As Mayor Fraser mentioned, my name is Susan Poirier. I'm the administrator of Dundas Manor, and I'm here this evening to provide an update to council and the community. So I don't need to tell anyone here that the current Dundas Manor's physical structure no longer meets the needs of our residents, and these are some pictures from our current home. The time is here for a new building that will care for residents and be a great workplace for staff for decades to come. The current Dundas Manor has 165 employees with 72 residents, and it was built in 1978. This was a very proud day of community pride. This was December 15th, 2023, the first shovel in the ground, and I recall it being a very cold day, but the turnout and support was wonderful, and it has been all systems go since that day, and we've fully enjoyed working with Freecon Construction on this very important project for the community. So this is why we're here. The new Dundas Manor is for our residents today and in the future. It will be home to 128 residents located at 543 Clarence Street. The construction is currently on time and budget, so that's good news. I would like to highlight a few key points about the new home that will showcase the excellence in design and planning. Anybody who's heard me talk about the new home, I've mentioned privacy and space being the main thing that I'm seeking for our residents going forward. It will be a major enhancement to the lives of the residents and the work environment for our staff. This is an example of a private room and a semi-private bathroom, or sorry, a basic bathroom. We have 80 private rooms with a private bathroom and 48 basic rooms with a shared bathroom. But each resident, regardless of their type of accommodation, will have dedicated privacy with a door for quiet, a window for their view, and spaces in the home built for visiting with family and friends. And that is not the furniture that will be in the room. This is our mock-up room to show us the size. Dining rooms will be multi-purpose rooms for people to gather. For the 32 residents who live in that home area, there are 4 of these, so 32 residents in each for a total of 128. And we are calling our resident home areas homesteads to depict the rural roots of the area. A living room is off to the side to gather with a fireplace and windows. The spa room has a tub area, a styling station, a bathroom, and a shower. It is a vast improvement from what we currently have. And I've listed many of the amenities that residents and families and visitors will enjoy in the new home. We are very fortunate to have an IT team working diligently behind the scenes to set this home up for now and the future in regards to technology. We are very proud that our new home has both a learning classroom and a simulation lab built into the basement. This will ensure training, education, and in-services for current staff and future healthcare providers can occur on-site without taking away from resident space, and to ensure we support virtual and on-site learning for years to come. Students will learn in the classroom, they will complete hands-on training in the simulation lab, and then go to the homesteads and work with our residents. It is a win-win and a very key part of supporting retention of healthcare workers. And the picture on the left is under construction, our simulation lab for the training, and it is a very large space, and the classroom is the same size. This is a picture of what our main production kitchen will look like in the new home. Our food service model will be one of very few long-term care homes in the province. So you might ask, what is the difference? Well, you might be familiar with the usual standard steam well of food that gets scooped out and put on a plate. This new system will ensure that all food is prepared fresh in this production kitchen and transported to the home kitchens located adjacent to each dining room. And it really looks like a kitchen you'd have in your own home, which is lovely. Residents will be able to order more options than now in all textures, and food will be finished and cooked right in front of them. So they'll be able to smell the food cooking, and we all eat with our eyes first, so finishing is very important. The enhancement of quality of food, I believe, will be second to none. Despite many strategies, hiring has been a challenge, so our home entered into agreement with internationally educated nurses, and we call them IENs, to come to Canada and specifically Winchester to work as employees of Dundas Manor. To date, we have welcomed 25 IENs, 10 newcomers to Canada who have moved here, and possibly another 6 to come. They are very dedicated, and they are all RNs in their home country and working to become RNs in Canada. I am very proud to say that the current Dundas Manor is overstaffed at 4.18 hours of direct care to residents, and that is because we invested in these ladies and gentlemen to support resident care. And these are just some of the pictures of them enjoying community events. And they sure love community events. Here they are at the Tulip Festival in Ottawa and rubbing elbows with our mayor on the right. They love to attend church functions, they support any Dundas Manor event, and they say yes to everything they're asked to do. They really love living here. And I think I can speak honestly for them when I say they have and continue to feel very welcomed by the community. So on behalf of the home, we thank you for that. What I can tell you is that collaborations and partnerships and support of not only our international nurses, but Dundas Manor is remarkable and sometimes overwhelming. We've held newcomers groups supported by Cindy McRae of the Eastern Ontario Training Board. We've had immigration supports for our new hires. Churches have welcomed each of them with open arms. Our local grocery store has sourced specific foods from their home countries. The township has helped us to navigate things with SD&G Council. Anne Leduc from Glengarry Interagency Group provided resources and job posting support. And even the local library, who just spoke, has provided training on their services, and they all have library cards. In this picture, you'll see one of our newcomers on a bicycle, and yes, he's in the snow. Each household of international nurses was provided with a donated bicycle to travel through town, and as you can see, the community spirit is strong. This won't come as a surprise to anyone here, but the 3 items that remain a challenge, not only for our international nurses, but often for new employees who want to start working at Dundas Manor and move to Winchester, are housing, transportation, and daycare. Affordable housing has been a challenge, although we've found housing for everyone. Many are living 6 to a house, but some of their families are now starting to come to Canada, so they do need some private house space. Also, as many have not been in the country for long, credit is an issue, as they need some time to obtain a credit history here, so that's a bigger challenge to rent or to own. As I mentioned, transportation is an issue. Many of them do not have a driver's license, so you'll see them walking about town or riding the bicycles. But we have supported taking them into Ottawa and about town, so that has been our staff helping. And daycare is a concern for all staff, current and future, as many are parents who need placement for their young children so that they can attend work. And the fact that we're a 24/7 operation just makes it a little bit more challenging for them. Supporting these challenges will not only ensure that North Dundas remains a place to move to, but a place for everyone to raise their families. And our next goal is to ensure retention for our current healthcare workers and all the future people that will come to care for residents at the new home, to keep the level of care what we expect and want for our seniors. Our forecast is to hire between 40 and 50 new employees by summer. And I can't talk about Dundas Manor without mentioning all our wonderful employees who have been there for a few months to over 40-plus years of service. We are very proud that we don't use any agency staff at Dundas Manor. We're committed to hiring our own employees, and to date, we've been able to do that. Just so you know, agency staff are not Dundas Manor employees, and they're paid at a much higher rate. They have no real commitment to the home. So that can affect staff morale, and it can affect overall care for residents. So as much as possible, we plan to continue to hire those people ourselves. We pride ourselves on strong and clear communication always, but specifically on the current Dundas Manor project. There are internal newsletters, external newsletters. We have a website, a strong social media presence, press releases, delegations such as this. And at the end of March, Kate Grimes, our HR lead, and Ursula Lamoureux, our former director of care, will be presenting on much of what I've shared with you today at the Ontario Long-Term Care Association Conference in Toronto to thousands of delegates from across the province. They will share our recruitment strategies, our IEN success, and our plans to retain all our healthcare workers through some of the partnerships I've discussed today. This is the first time that I'm aware of that Dundas Manor has been selected to present at this provincial conference, and we are very proud to share our rural, not-for-profit, long-term care success. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a hats off to the WDMH Foundation, who has spearheaded this vast fundraising effort that is still ongoing. We need a little more to get to the finish line, so I just wanted to put a plug in. If you're interested in donating, we are interested in receiving. And finally, I'd like to specifically thank Mayor Fraser, Mina Mallour, and Stephen Mann for your support and your ongoing efforts to help our newcomers and provide help with some of the challenges I mentioned. And to North Dundas Council, thank you for letting me present this update this evening. And very important to the community, I think you will be very proud of the new Dundas Manor when you get the opportunity to see it yourself. I hope it brings great relief and comfort to members of this community to be able to have your family member and friends receive care so close to home. So on behalf of our residents and staff, I thank you for giving me the time this evening, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was a fantastic presentation. I open up to questions, comments. Deputy Mayor.
I'm just curious, do you know how much money we raised last Saturday? Do you know the final tally? Not yet? Okay. Just wondered.
Too soon.
Too soon, okay.
But thank you for attending.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Lennox.
I'm happy you brought up IENs. I was fortunate enough to do some service work at a rental property for some of your IENs. And these people love North Dundas. They love Winchester. They love the support they get from you, Charlie, and etc. And going forward, like, I didn't want to bring it up during the public meeting, but this is why we need affordable housing. It was right there in the slide. It's a challenge. This is a project we're all getting behind, so let's stay behind the project and support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Further comments? Councillor Urick.
No, I just thank you for the presentation, Susan. It's just sort of surreal to like see all this and have been on the other side of it at one point, now on this side of it, and it actually is real. And you know, we've gone through what a member of provincial parliament who perhaps didn't have the best interests in mind at one time to, you know, getting to where we are today. So it's just amazing, and the commitment to kind of stay the course and kind of go through all the challenges that have come with it, not only construction of the new facility, but also the staffing levels having dipped to the extent in which they did at one time to getting them back up again. And I mean, to Councillor Lennox's point, seeing some of these IENs through the community is just amazing. And I've seen a handful of them cycling around town in the snow, and it's unbelievable, but good for them and their commitment. So, it's wonderful, and I look forward to the opportunity once the new build is done to kind of see it and believe it, because it was a long time
It
of
sure was.
not being sure if it was ever going to come to pass. So it's quite exciting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Urick. I look to Councillor Annable.
I keep going back in my memory to when my mother was there. My mother was there 7.5 years, and I only lived half a block away. And the care she got then was commendable. I could go up any day of the week, any time of the day. She might not have her hair combed. Other than that, she was looked after very well. So I wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Councillor. And I guess I'll just quickly wrap it up. Kudos to you. It was a successful event. We had an opportunity to attend the other night. The enthusiasm for the new Dundas Manor was more than apparent in that room. And but I want to thank the three people that are here today, Charlie, Bill, and yourself, Susan, for your perseverance. It's been a challenge over the years. It must be surreal to be reaching the finish line after, I'm sure I get it wrong. I say 15 years of challenges and maybe more, but it has been a long battle, and battle is the word. I think back to comments that people would from the province would make about the relentlessness of Bill Smurl and Charlie Boland, but the way that was all presented, it was all done professionally. And I don't know how you did it professionally, because I'd lose my mind dealing with that sometimes, but nevertheless, it was done professionally, and it's appreciated. It is something I think of the times I'd been on tour or visiting Dundas Manor, and you become inured to it, of how people are having, and I would say, their last meal in a hallway. And truly, that's what it was. And the new manor is going to be so much better for all the people that worked hard to make sure that North Dundas is North Dundas, and they need to be spend their last years with us in dignity, and this is certainly going to provide that. So keep on donating, folks, and thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you for having me.
And our next delegation is Mr. Smurl from South Nation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And Mayor Tony and Deputy Mayor Teresa and Councilors Gary and John and Matt and staff. I'm pleased to do a brief presentation. You know, it's not too lengthy today, but I thought it was kind of important because in the January meeting we approved the budget, and there's a lot of figures to be thrown around. So I gave you a very brief overview, and I started out not talking about the last little bit, but talking about our still concern with what's going to be happening as we move into the new conservation authorities with 5 authorities across the province, and we would have one supervising board that supervises the 5 authorities in Eastern Ontario, and we hope it's going to work well. You also know that this is the year of getting all the rules out, and in 27, with the new councils and with the new board members that will be on whatever is the board for this group, it will be implemented in 27. So 26 is the getting ready and rating all the rules and letting people know about them and moving from there. So that's just, I think, all I need to say about number 1. And number 2, you'll remember that I reported our SNC board had approved a draft budget in December, and I brought you copies at the December meeting when I was here. And we always call it a draft budget, and we send it out to the municipalities and give them an opportunity to review it and send us suggestions. And I'm pleased to say that there were no suggestions that came back other than we agree with it. And so at the January meeting of our board, we approved the budget, and just a couple of points from it that may be of interest. The levy rate was 2.9%, and the amount of dollars that we have in the budget is over 5 million. So it's $5,056,573, but that's the levy dollars. And one of the things that our staff has been super at doing at South Nation has been going out and finding dollars. And they find almost the same amount of dollars as we have for levies. And that means that our budget has doubled and we're able to get a lot more activities done in our area. And over the last 10 years, the staff has become really good at doing that. And some of the donations they get are like $1 million or $1.5 million over 2 or 3 years. And that's quite helpful with doing many of the activities we want to do. The budget was approved, and I thought I would just let you know that North Dundas is, I should say that the amounts to be paid by the municipalities, the 16 municipalities, range from $729 to $3,705,252. And you know that the City of Ottawa has 76% of that budget. And the other 15 municipalities have about, the other 16, the other 20-some%, and it's divided up. North Dundas's general levy for this year will be $115,657, and the capital levy will be $4,989. We are moving along with getting things done. I haven't said a lot about what happened on the last couple of meetings, January and February, and they were meetings when we approved a heck of a lot of things. There were about 20 approvals of different businesses or different decisions to be made that ranged from approval of the Forestry Service contracts to the disbursement register to the Great Lakes stewardship, etc. So there were about 20 approvals, and for each approval at January and February, there's a full explanation, questions and answers by board members, and then approval is given. And very seldom are there changes made with what the staff comes up with. So we're very pleased with how the staff does that. Number three, the Low Water Committee recently met and recommended that we return to normal conditions as recharging of the groundwater levels has taken place with the late season rains and the early winter wet snow that melted. We were very fortunate with that early winter snow that melted, and so the water level has basically been recharged, and we're back to where we hope to stay for a long time. At every meeting of SNCA, we have a thorough explanation, and I'm not going to read number 4 to you, but in a nutshell, at each staff meeting, at each board meeting, staffers come and spend half to 3/4 of an hour explaining what projects they're working on, what programs they're working on, why they're important. We question and offer suggestions, and then they go and they do it with the slides as well, and then we move ahead and agree and make any changes as necessary. I mentioned as well before that our meetings now are the second Thursday in each month except July. And if any of you at any time could fit into your schedule to come and even be there for that first half, 3/4 of an hour to see the presentations and hear what we're doing. I'm so pleased and proud of that because I believe our board is one of the best educated boards in the province. I know of no other board that has staffers at every meeting that take time to explain what they're doing and how they're doing it and ask us for input. And I've been around to other boards and I visited it, and I did that when I was chair a few years ago. So my belief is that we're exceptional. And that's one of the concerns I have when we talk about what's going to happen with the new Conservation Authority when the new rules come in. Will we have much local representation? Will the agricultural and rural areas of our area be forgotten? Because when it goes to the new area, we have Ottawa, Cornwall, Brockville, Kingston, and other major cities, and then we have the other areas. And each of them is really, really important. I don't think there were any other details I wanted to give you. I think I've covered most of it. And is there any questions, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Smurl. I'll pass it over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Smurl, on point number 3, I was a bit disappointed that the level 3 was removed because although you make the point that water levels are higher, I'm sure the rivers have gone up, some wells have gone up, but if they had conferred with North Dundas or Miss Ward, they would have realized that our wells, they have done some recharge, but they're not even near close to the 10% average yet. And this may give the public false feeling that, you know, they can go ahead and that the water is still is flowing back to normal, but for our area, it's not.
All right. That's not the information we were given on that board with the research that had been done and the comments that they had. So I will carry that back as a comment. So does anyone else want to add to that? Because that's what we were told.
Can I go ahead, Mr. Mayor? We can ask Ms. Ward if she was consulted on the water levels of the well. Is it okay for her to speak?
I don't think this is the time or the place to have
Okay.
that discussion. Your question was asked of Mr. Smurl, and an answer will be forthcoming, I'm sure. Any other questions, comments? Once again, thank you for the brevity. We have a lot on the go tonight, but I do appreciate the presentation, and I've made notes, and I'm thinking I'm looking forward to an opportunity as the spring gets closer for some members of council maybe to be able to get out to second Thursday of the month. I think to your point, as you do, you let us know, and I think it's starting to sink into my brain that, yeah, it'd be a nice thing to get out and see a presentation. It's been a few years since I've had the opportunity to be in Finch to see the presentation at the office, but I look forward to that.
And if I may just add 2 other quick things, I'll make them really quick. Alice, that I also am on, that's Alternate Land Use Systems, will have their annual report ready in May. Copies will be sent out, and I will make sure that you get sufficient. Would you each like a copy, or do you want to just do it on the internet? Because I think it's important to see the many activities that Alice is involved with.
Councilor Lennox?
I was going to say, Mr. Smurl, you can give Councillor Annabelle and I copies of the activities on March 12th. We'll be at the meeting.
The whole report for the last year won't be out until May. But we'll
Second Thursday in May.
get that then. And lastly, Mr. Chair, if I may say, you Mr. Mayor, I should say, you mentioned this, but we are very fortunate in this area to have the leadership of the Dundas Manor in Susan and the CAO at both the hospital and the manor in Chali. And I have worked there for a number of years as a volunteer, as a board member, and I'm just cannot say enough about the work they do and the knowledge they have and the things that are happening with their assistance. So thank you for letting me say these couple extra comments.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. If there's nothing more, I think we're going to take like a quick 5-minute stretch your legs. Okay. But it'll have to be a quick 5 minutes. More like 4.
Does anyone have to go pee?
I do, but
Okay, so we had a brief break, and we're going to get right back at it, and we're going to start off with staff reports, and right off the bat, CAO Muller, Transit Opportunity Exploration. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Annabelle. Be it resolved that Council approves staff to formally engage in exploratory discussions with North Grenville and regional partners regarding potential partnership-based transit options that could be piloted in North Dundas, and to conduct a community needs assessment survey as part of this exploration. Madam CAO.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we did recently hear about some of the transportation challenges that Dundas Manor had expressed. And generally speaking, what we wanted to do as a community, seek approval from the council to initiate a formal discussion with North Grenville and additional neighboring municipalities who are engaging in transit master plans and such, to explore potential commuter and transit service options for our community. So as part of this, we are, like Mr. Mann and I have been in discussion to see what would be a good way to engage the community. So the plan is to initiate a survey through a township webpage and other social media platforms. So we can have a data-driven and informed suggestion and feedback to present to council as recommendation to determine the next steps.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Councillor Lennox?
I promised I wouldn't speak much during staff action request, but considering the users of such system in North Dundas would be primarily from the Beechcroft and other retirement areas such as dwellings, etc., maybe social media might not be the best way to canvass those crowds. Good old Scantrons and fill in the dots.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So social media would be one of the platforms. We will definitely take other platforms to engage different communities appropriately, be that through a formal survey or paper copies, what have you. So we will explore that collectively with each user group and determine what's the best way to engage them.
Thank you. Anything further? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Now we're going to move to Corporate Services Clerk, Director Johnson. Update Policy 95-2023 Committees of Council and Volunteers. Moved by Councillor Annabelle, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that Council approve Policy 95-2023 Committees of Council and Volunteers as amended this 25th day of February 2026. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This policy was first brought in 2023 when we established committees of council to align with the Municipal Act and our insurance. And we had the volunteer database set up, and that actually expired in December 31st, 2025. Because of part of MFIPA, we have to say how long we're going to keep the information and what we're going to do with it. So now that we're starting over building up our volunteers again, we took this as an opportunity to answer a lot of the questions that we kept getting over and over the last couple of years about insurance, about special events, about how committees of council have to operate. And I've put those into this policy here. So one of the issues that we've had is that to be a committee of council, there's certain things you have to do, and this is not my rules, this is actually in the Municipal Act. And one of them is to have open meetings that are advertised to the public, so that's been stressed in here, to give us the minutes. And there was some confusion over when they have to give minutes or how to give minutes, so I've expanded that template with actual examples about having movers and seconders, and clarified that the minutes should actually be approved at your next meeting, and then once they're approved, send them to us and we'll put them in. Insurance has been a big one. So I've kind of went through and made that a little bit more detailed about what they need for insurance. One of the issues that I am having, and I'm really looking to council support for this going forward, is that I start asking committees of council for what they're doing for special events in like August. And I continue to ask them repeatedly for months. This year, I didn't buy it until January 28th because we literally had our first event on the 30th, and I was still trying to plug some of the holes and make things up. And literally 3 or 4 days after I buy the insurance, I'm getting requests for, oh, now I want to have another event. which is fine. I don't want to discourage volunteers from doing events, but that necessitates buying an additional policy and additional charge for that because it wasn't done as part of the mass thing. I thought council might want to know that this year we actually have 27 events that are planned that require special event insurance. There's a number of other ones that don't require it, like Remembrance Day and Music in the Park and the pumpkin carving and tree lighting and that sort of stuff because they're considered low-risk events. So there are a lot of events and it's a lot of coordination. Last year, and so what we spent so far this year is just over $24,000 on insurance for events. Last year we had 22 events and we spent $18,000. We had a few more that were added throughout the year, so that number was a little bit higher afterwards. But 3 of those events got canceled. 2 of them I had advance notice of. Or sorry, 1 I had advance notice of, 2 I didn't, so we paid insurance for events that didn't happen. So those are things that I've added into the insurance section of this report to say committees need to let us know if you're going to cancel it. And I put a deadline here for next year for November 1st to please have committees let us know by November 1st because then that could be included in our actual budget that goes to council. What I have not put in the policy, but you'll notice is in my report, that I am suggesting that starting with the 2027 year, that if we don't know what the events are or committees want to change the events or expand the events, that they should be responsible for raising that money themselves. We know that a lot of the committees of council do fundraising and they make a profit and then they decide who they're going to donate to in the community. So that is something that I just wanted to put forward for council to consider for 2027. Obviously, it's not something we'd want to bring in partway through the year. The only other thing that's been added in here is criminal record checks, because that was also some confusing too. So what we've done is adopt a process that's very similar to what other not-for-profits have done and what the Board of Education has done, so that if it's deemed reasonable by the committee that's managing volunteers, that they want you to have a record check. Not everyone's going to need it. I mean, if you're a high school kid that's doing the clicker at the expo to see how many people are coming, no, we're not going to make you do a record check. But we want to get it done once, and then in year 2 and year 3, we'll just, sorry, we'll have you sign just an affidavit that says, you know, nothing has really changed. Vulnerable sector's a little bit different. That's going to have to be done annually because you're working with minors or vulnerable people. So those are pretty much the highlights that have been managed through. There's a lot of yellow in this, but those are pretty much the major highlights for committees of council and the volunteers. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to
Director
take
Johnson, any questions, comments? Deputy Mayor.
One quick question, Mr. Mayor. I just want to clarify what you're saying is you would like the committees by the end of November to give you a list of events. And if following that, like the following year, they change those events or add events that we should consider for 2027 to charge them the difference in the insurance that it would cost us.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none is carried. Let's see, there says archives update. Is there one here?
Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to give an update on where we're at with the archive and what's happened since the last time we were here in council. Everything that belonged to North Dundas has now been removed from the archive. With that, I'm talking about the boxes and the records and the artifacts. We did have a meeting just recently with South Dundas to just sort of clarify a few things. Neither municipality is going to use the name Dundas County Archives because it just doesn't make sense, so we're going to have our own archives named separately. They have done an audit on the newspapers, and we are working back and forth to figure out which ones are missing. And that's now being done by Image Advantage. I think it's about $4,000 so far that's been spent to do the missing ones, and there's still a few there. One box was sent back from the Winchester Press from ours. With regard to shared assets, we are going to be getting a large supply of shelving from the archives. Some of them are mounted on the wall, some of them are just sort of like the rolling kind of shelving, which is going to be disassembled by our transportation department, and I'm going to thank them in advance now for doing that, because it's going to be a very big job, probably about a week's worth of time to do that. That will be out by May the 1st, and it is going to be stored in the Chesterville Community Center, which is where the records are currently stored now. So what I'm looking for from council is some feedback on what the direction should be and how we should move forward with the archive. So we have two options here. Under the Municipal Act, we are only required to keep government records. We are not required to keep community records, which consists of the newspapers or any artifacts. Like we have boxes of plaques. We have boxes of people's yearbooks. We have quilts. We have all kinds of pictures and negatives, a bunch of things which are great, and I'm not recommending that we get rid of any of that at all. But what I'm looking for from council is, are you looking for us with an archive to store only the municipal records, which will impact where we ultimately locate an archive and how much renovation is required, in which case we would then transfer the care and control of all the other stuff to somebody else, be it another community group, be it a group that we establish just for that, bearing in mind that all of that would be funded through our budget, or do we keep it all? So that's a direction I need so we can figure out where we're going to move the archive to, because it affects the space.
Okay, so and I've had an opportunity, and I'll lead it off, I guess. I had an opportunity to see the bulk of what is there, and my comment has been at that time, need to have a better view of how much space that's going to take up. We have to have a better understanding of the shelving spacing and what opportunities we have, because there are things there that, to the director's comments, that aren't municipal records, that may not belong in a municipal record archive, but we may have enough space once we strategically place everything and understand the challenges that we have. And then there's the question of the newspapers and preserving those. Again, in my involvement with the archives since its inception, and understanding the passion for preserving print. Again, it's something I think that I feel we need to have a more fulsome understanding of the challenges of the space that we're in front of us before I can make an option one or an option two, because I really want to know what is available, what space truly is available. Yes, ma'am.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I would say roughly half of the stuff that we have brought from the archives is municipal records. So it's about 50-50.
Thank you. So that's my thoughts on that, is because the one and only time I saw the bulk in Chesterville, it was moving day. Everything was plopped, or not plopped, that's an unfair word, was placed in a neat orderly fashion. But again, it was bankers' boxes on top of bankers' boxes, so it wasn't accessible. And do we need to, are we going to make sure that the whole archive is accessible, or is it just you come to a wicket and your items are returned to you, so we don't have to make that space accessible for the public? I think there's some options in front of us that we have to consider. Anyway, my thoughts on that. Others? Councillor Urick.
No, I think to your point, Mr. Mayor, I do think we just need to get a better handle on, to the clerk's point, it's about 50-50, but a handle on what we as a municipality want to retain and what we as a municipality or members of this community deem to be historically significant, and then to whom should be the overseer of that. We have a historical society that is already kind of at the brim in their own facility to So to expect that they might take it on might be foolish on our part. But I do think there's more of a conversation to have here. And, you know, I don't think this is as much as options are being presented and consideration being given for options. I don't know that either of the options are good ones right now until we have a understanding of what and how and whom wants to care for what we have in our possession.
Thank you. Councillor Annabelle, then the Deputy Mayor.
I sit on the Heritage, Chesterfield Heritage board and meetings, and they have tons of stuff that they haven't been able to get through themselves. But I'm sure if they had the manpower, they'd be quite willing to help. But I think we're in a situation where we're just going to have to wait a little bit and see what we've actually got.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
And to add to that, only then will we know how much space we need. Once we know how much stuff is there, then option 1 or option 2, what we keep or don't keep, based on what space it requires.
Councillor?
I maintain if it's not on Google, it does not exist. With that, again, we're shooting in the dark here. Like, we don't know how much space we have to accommodate to make option 2 work. And do we even know how much space we'll have for option 1, which is, you know, the better of the two, but that's a personal opinion and a shot in the dark at this moment without metrics in front of us.
Okay, thanks. So I think that's where we stand, Director. We're at not an impasse, but we just need to see the next step to see where we're at with the shelving coming in and stuff on, and then what is the tipping point? Okay.
Okay, would council like to come and see?
Oh, I think council
What's
would love to see
actually at
what's
the-
there. Yeah. No,
Just-
certainly. I shouldn't commit the remaining members of council, but yeah, I am. They need to see it for sure.
Okay,
Okay.
we can arrange that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to quickly move into change in council meeting dates. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that council amend the council meeting dates as presented this 25th day of February 2026. Madam Director Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this report's pretty self-explanatory. The March one is causing some scheduling conflicts. And the July and August meetings have been moved to 1 o'clock because that also accommodates the Meet Me on Main Streets that are happening that evening. So putting them at 1 o'clock makes sense for that. And at the time that I presented these meetings, we thought there might have been a conflict for the September 12th meeting because the Ontario East hadn't been announced yet, but it is in fact that day. So that's the reason for the change for the September 12th.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, all those in favor, it's carried. Development Service, thank you, Madam Director. Development Services Director Paul, bylaw number 2026-22, encroachment agreement, the Youngs, moved by Councillor Urick, second by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-22 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO to enter into an encroachment agreement with Peter DeJong and Amy DeJong for an existing garage encroaching on the road allowance between lots 6 and 7, concession 2, former township of Winchester, pin number 66145-0099, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Director Paul.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser. So as you can see in the little image there, there's an encroachment that came out in a survey that was recently done. This white little garage here slightly encroaches onto a road allowance that's not open. It's not. It's still available for use, but it's not an open public road. They're asking to keep the garage and not have to move it. It's part of a severance condition right now. They're severing off the house from the farm. It's a surplus dwelling. So they're just looking to get the approval that it can stay here as long as we don't need the road allowance or have to use it. There is a provision in the agreement that if we need to access the road allowance, they would have to remove it at that time. It was built in 1965 before zoning, so the setbacks didn't apply back then when it was built, and they obviously didn't quite line it up properly to stay on their own property back then.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2026-19, zoning amendment for 44 Laurie Lane, Cheshire, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Annabelle. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-19, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 04-95 to rezone the property municipally known as 44 Laurie Lane, Cheshire, Ontario, from residential second density R2 to residential second density exception 6 R2 X6, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Director Paul.
This is a follow-up in the earlier public meeting. There was no opposition to it. Just as a note, this will allow them to legally sell the property with legal use on it.
Thank you.
They can move forward with that.
Questions, comments from members of council? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Move on to bylaw number 2026-20, zoning amendment 50-60 South Street, West Cheshire, moved by Councillor Annabelle, second by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-20, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 04-95 to rezone the property municipally known as 58-60 South Street, West Chesterville, Ontario, from residential first density R1 zone to residential second density R2, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Director Paul.
So as a follow-up to the second public meeting, we heard tonight about affordable housing, and this does offer affordable housing for individuals in the community and a diversity of housing that's also needed.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We're going to move over to Mr. Mann. Saraport T. Inc. CIP loan, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that Council approve a commercial improvement loan of $16,494.62 for Saraport Thai Inc. under the Township of North Dundas' Community Improvement Plan for the building located at 10619 Main Street, South Mountain. And that Council authorize the Mayor and Director of Development Services to execute the required agreement. Mr. Mann.
Thank you, Mayor. So this particular application is a continuation of a December application for the facade grant. This particular one is for some interior renovations to complete the flooring and the suspended ceiling. This will be a new vet clinic that will be opening up in the springtime in South Mountain, and we welcome it to the committee. And this is to complete those two components of her project.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Continue with Mr. Mann, the key information report on child services.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this is a continuation and sort of an offshoot of the transit conversation as well. Additional service for our community. A nonprofit organization has approached the township, interested in establishing a licensed daycare service within the municipality. And as an initial first step, they want us to help them promote and send it to the community, a survey to gauge the interest of residents for such services in the municipality. This would be the extent of our involvement. This project, if it does go forth, would be completely run by the nonprofit organization. But essentially to let council know that we did actually just receive yesterday the survey. So it'll be distributed out this week or next week to the community, just so you're all aware.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Well, I appreciate that. It is something that is sorely needed, not just here in North Dundas, but throughout. So I look forward to success with that survey. Thank you, Mr. Mann. We're going to move over to Finance. Director Hewitt, bylaw number 2025-02, delegation of authority, moved by Councillor Urick, second by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-02, being a bylaw to delegate certain powers and duties to officers and employees of the Township of North Dundas, be approved as amended this 25th day of February 2026. Director Hewitt.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser and members of council. There's one of the big changes that we're making within the delegation of authority here is to provide more clarity and more efficiency within administration, especially when it comes to the budget management and reallocation. Technically speaking, we have a very detailed budget with over 1,000 different lines, and so it becomes inevitable throughout the year that there are variances here or there, right? There might be a little bit more that's spent on maintenance of one vehicle, less that's spent on maintenance of another vehicle. And so what we're doing with this delegation of authority change is to provide authorization to staff to be able to move things around within the council-approved budget, provided that it doesn't affect levels of service, and it doesn't affect the overall approved budget, and it doesn't affect reserves for the township. So those changes would still be brought forward to council for approval. The other key ones, looking at the banking and payment protocols, so that when it comes to the administration of payroll and accounts payable, it's more clearly stated and clarified what that final authority is for releasing those payments. And finally, an alignment, because in a moment we're going to be talking about a change to the procurement policy instead of the existing purchasing policy. So just making those updated amendments.
Thank you. Questions, comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. As you mentioned, procurement policy number 112-2026, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Annable. Be resolved that council rescind the purchasing policy number 96-2023 and that council approve and adopt the procurement policy number 112-2026 as presented this 25th day of February 2026. Director Hewitt.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser and Council. The update to this procurement policy is, again, just to provide further clarity to staff on some of the ambiguities that existed under the old policy with respect to authority limits, when certain types of procurement would need to be triggered, when council would need to be consulted for approval, or when it could be something that could be handled within administration. We also took out a lot of the administrative behind-the-scene processes out of the policy so that that's something that's dealt more at the staff level in a procedures document, separate from the policy itself. Those are the majority of the changes in this, but happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you, Director. Questions, comments? I just want to think back to the first time I had seen something along this line of the levels, the competitive, the tender process, and $50,000 was a massive jump from what it was whenever I started on council, and now $50,000 seems like nothing, unfortunately. And so yes, I do understand the challenges, and anyway, that's enough from me. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And we're going to move to the Dundas County Hospice multi-year financial request, and is moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox. Be resolved that council rescinds the $5,000 financial commitment to the Dundas County Hospice approved in the 2026 municipal budget, instead commits to a multi-year financial contribution to the Dundas County Hospice equivalent to $15,000 over a 5-year period starting in 2026, subject to future budget considerations and annual approvals, and that council authorize administration to determine the payment schedule and administrative process, including the flexibility to align or match programs with the Township of South Dundas to ensure effective regional collaboration. Director Hewitt.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser. And I apologize, it is a bit of a mouthful reading out the recommendation, but I'll summarize what the intention behind this is. In September, we had the delegation from Dundas County Hospice, and their initial request was $3,000 over 5 years. And that's similar to a request that they made in the past. And so the intention behind this one is to address the multi-year commitment piece of that original request, also in light of the Township of South Dundas, who was also recently approached with a similar request. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity to align between the two townships, as well as formally addressing what that multi-year commitment piece would look like. So within the recommendation, we, by saying that we're rescinding the budgeted $5,000 piece, when we had our initial discussion, that's what we put the support at for 2026, but not addressing any of the other years yet. We only dealt with the first year. And so by putting it at a total equivalent of $15,000 over 5 years, we're basically honoring the delegation that did come forward. The second piece of it is just to allow administration working in collaboration with South Dundas to figure out what the timing of that commitment might look like over the next 5-year period. We will have flexibility at each budget process to come forward to this, and that's the intention of, subject to future budget considerations, should we wish to make changes to any of the committed amounts to them. And so there is an option to change that amount either now or at the budget piece. But for now, the recommendation is that we stick with honoring that original request, $15,000 over 5 years, or $3,000 annually for a 5-year term.
Thank you. Questions, comments? I know it's been spoken about before by members of this council how this is the service that's provided by the Dundas County Hospice really I'd be challenged to come up with people that haven't been affected by the Dundas County or supported, or family members or friends that have been supported by the Dundas County Hospice, and it is almost a 50-50 split in the service it provides to residents of both municipality of South Dundas, Township of North Dundas. So, saying that, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And we're going to quickly jump into fire and Chief Raistrick, bylaw number 2016-18, automatic aid agreement, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Uhrig. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-18, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the City of Ottawa for automatic aid, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this bylaw is just preparation for July 1st, 2028. As you know, the fire service, we like to pre-plan. So what this allows us to do is enter into an agreement with Ottawa Fire Services for water rescue, trench rescue, high-angle rope rescue, confined spaces, types of rescues that require very specific equipment and training that can be quite costly to maintain. And I do want to reiterate that there's only a fee when this service is used. A lot of models for automatic aid used to have a standby fee, and that has since been eliminated. We are one of the few that Ottawa has extended this agreement to, and of course I want to be on the ground floor getting in. Ottawa may become a provincial response team for these types of rescues, which means if we call the provincial operations, the province could fund the operation if they deem it to be a provincial rescue, not a municipal rescue. So if we can do that, we would still be responsible for the scene, so we would have to have the awareness level training, which I have noted in here that all fire service will train to, and then Ottawa would obviously conduct the rescue.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. The fire prevention policy, moved by Councillor Uhrig, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that Council adopt policy number 116-2026, fire prevention policy, as presented this 25th day of February 2026. Chief.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor and Council. So we have finalized the desired policy to ensure an appropriate fire prevention program is implemented for the municipality. This program that we have come up with will be able to be staffed by volunteers primarily. This year we're focusing on pre-plans, annual inspections of private and public water storage, and we'll be working in collaboration with environmental services on this effort this year. So,
thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And your last one, bylaw number 2026-17, the Fire Dispatch Services Agreement, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Annabelle. That be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-17, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the City of Ottawa for fire dispatch services, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Chief.
again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So this just continues a very long-standing relationship we have with Ottawa Fire Services for our dispatch service. And there are no real changes to this. Since this report was written, we have made a new arrangement with them in which they send reports immediately when the call is terminated. There's no longer a wait period, so that's a little more efficient for me in our record keeping, so I'm happy
Excellent.
with that.
Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Chief. We're going to move into Transportation. Director Cheney. Bylaw number 2026-13, new assessment schedule for maintenance and engineer appointment, S.76, the Mullen Municipal Drain, moved by Councillor Annable, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that Council accept the request for a new assessment schedule for maintenance under RSO 1990 CD 17 S76, parentheses 1, 2006, C19, Schedule A, Sub 6, 1 of the Drainage Act for the Mullen Municipal Drain in the former Township of Winchester, now the Township of North Dundas, and that bylaw number 2026-13 being a bylaw to appoint Monica Shade of Shade Group, Inc. as a drainage engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule for maintenance of the Mullen Municipal Drain in the former Township of Winchester, now the Township of North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Director Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council, and I do apologize too, Mayor Fraser, for the length of that. So, a little background, maintenance requests have been received for the Mullen Municipal Drain. The drain serves as a collector for a number of municipal drains. The total length is approximately 10 kilometers, and it provides outlet to the Nation River for approximately 5,700 acres. There is not sufficient information available in the township records to indicate the year the Mullen Drain was first constructed. However, the drain was improved in 1943, 1968, and has been maintained under the provisions of the 1978 Engineers Report. The current assessment schedule is out of date, as there have been many severances and land use changes since adopted in 1979. An updated and fair assessment schedule was required as part of the Drainage Act to conduct work and levy the cost to the watershed.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2026-14, new assessment schedule for maintenance and engineer appointment, S76, VM Connors Municipal Drain, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Uhrig. Be it resolved that Council accept the request for a new assessment schedule for maintenance under RSO 1990 CD 17 Sub 76 1 2006 C19 Schedule A, S6 1 of the Drainage Act for the WM Connors Municipal Drain in the former Township of Winchester, now the Township of North Dundas, and that bylaw number 2026 being a bylaw to appoint Monica Shade of Shade Group as the drainage engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule for maintenance of the WM Connors Municipal Drain in the former Township of Winchester, now the Township of North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Director Cheney, before you start, is that the same as the last one? Is that the same logic? I mean,
Yes, it is, Mayor Fraser.
okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Director Cheney, the next one, similar.
Yes, Mayor Fraser.
I'll read it. Bylaw number 2026-15, new assessment schedule for maintenance and engineer appointment, S76, Johnson Branch of the Milton Hoy Municipal Drain, moved by Councillor Uhrig, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that Council accept the request for a new assessment schedule for maintenance under RSO 1990 CD 17 S76 1 2006 C19 Schedule A, S6 1 of the Drainage Act for the Johnson Branch of the Milton Hoy Municipal Drain in the former Township of Mountain, now the Township of North Dundas, and that bylaw number 2026-15 being a bylaw to appoint Monica Shade of Shade Group, Inc. as the drainage engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule for maintenance of the Johnson Branch of the Milton Hoy Municipal Drain in the former Township of Mountain, now the Township of North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. The same?
Correct.
Thank you. Bylaw number 2026-16, new assessment schedule for maintenance and engineer appointment, S76, Castor Extension Municipal Drain, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Annable. Be it resolved that Council accept the request for a new assessment schedule for maintenance under RSO 1990 CD 17 S76 1 2006 C19 Schedule A, S61 of the Drainage Act for the Castor Extension Municipal Drain in the former Township of Townships of Winchester Mountain, now the Township of North Dundas, and that bylaw number 2026 being a bylaw to appoint Monica Shade of Shade Group as a drainage engineer to prepare a new assessment schedule for maintenance of the Castor Extension Municipal Drain in the former townships of Winchester Mountain, now the Township of North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Director Cheney, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Environmental Services Director Ward, bylaw number 2026-08, water supply in North Dundas, attached bylaw number 2026-08, revised February 24th, 2026. Moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026, being a bylaw to provide for the regulation of water supply in North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February. Ms. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So unfortunately, I don't get the pleasure of having a short bylaw like the Transportation Department. So bylaw 2026-08 is the amalgamation of 3 existing bylaws that we have in North Dundas. So essentially, this bylaw is merging the conservation bylaw, the water connection and metering bylaw, and then the rules and regulations of using the water supply in North Dundas. The intention of this was to create a comprehensive document that protects the water and wastewater system in North Dundas while also encouraging development. The bylaw before council, one of the reasons why we did bring it forward was to incorporate water conservation and what would happen during a drought. So as council is aware, the previous bylaw, we did have a water conservation mechanism, but it was very gray in terms of how it would be enforced. Whereas this bylaw has a lot more teeth in it with regards to how water conservation can be enforced in a drought period and outside of a drought period. We did actually amend, because this bylaw did come to council in the fall of 2025 for your input. We did amend the conservation section to be, instead of tied to South Nation's low water advisory, we tied it to a standard operating procedure we have in the water department so that it is linked directly to our own mechanisms and not outside agencies. The other important part about this bylaw is that staff want council to understand that this is brand new, and it would be brand new to all the residents. So beginning as soon as it's passed, we would like to start an education campaign to make sure residents are aware of the implications of this bylaw and what's contained within before the summer months where we may potentially have to enforce water conservation. So again, putting that education out first, so residents understand before they're actually having to be held to that bylaw. Other than that, it's a very comprehensive bylaw, so if council has any questions or specific sections they'd like changed, I'm more than happy to answer those questions and make those changes as needed.
Thank you. Questions, comments, Deputy Mayor?
Okay, I have 3 comments. I have to congratulate, this is a really, really long project that you did here, and it must have taken a lot of time, but I have 3 comments. You have 2 well types for triggering an alert, and but it's not clear if both types of well have to be at that level, or will the trigger occur when the first type of well reaches that level. I think that should be made clear, because you could have the Esker wells at a trigger level while the deep well's not, or vice versa, or they could be both at the same time. But I think it should be made clear one or both at the same time. Under the watch, you have that the car washes, the 3 small businesses have to shut down, but at the same time, the large producers are only getting a notice, that water is low. And my personal opinion is maybe that they should get a very short notice and maybe start at 10% right away. And then way down about the fines for bypassing the meter at only $500. I don't really think that's a deterrent. And I know I saw the provincial list where the maximum for certain things can only be 1,000. We can't go above 1,000. But personally, I think that $500 for bypassing a meter is just way too low.
Thank you for your thoughts. Further questions, comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That's seeing none. That's carried.
Mayor, may I
Yes,
just?
ma'am.
So would you like us to return with a bylaw with those amendments, or would you like staff to make those amendments that were mentioned to the bylaw?
I think the deputy mayor's point is not a financial one, is clarity on that, the type of well. I think that would be supported, I'm guessing, supported by all of council as the financial, the $500 one. Well, I look to council. I see. You're good with 500? Yep. Okay, we're good. I see a nod, so it's just the clarity on the trigger.
Okay, but that we need to change the resolution because it has to then be passed as amended. You passed it as she presented it,
Okay, so I'll read it as amended.
and then we have to state exactly what the amendment is.
Okay, so where am I here? So attached bylaw number 2000, environmental services, attached bylaw number 2026-08 revised February 25th, 2006, moved by Councillor Annable, seconded by Councillor Lennox, be resolved that bylaw number 2026-08, being a bylaw to provide for regulation of water supply in North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February. All those that want to defeat that so we can amend it, correct? Defeat that to amend it? Okay, all those in favor of defeating to amend, opposed to, that's carried, it's defeated. And so attached bylaw number 2026-08 as amended to reflect clarity on the triggers, be revised February 25th, 2026. Moved by Councillor Annable, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be resolved that bylaw number 2026-08 as amended to reflect the triggers, being a bylaw to provide for regulation of water supply in North Dundas, be passed and enacted this 25th day of February. All those in favor? That's carried. Fair? Bylaw number 2025-71, water and sewer rates, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that Schedule A to bylaw number 2025-71, being a bylaw for fixing rate for the supply of water/sewer services, be amended as presented this 25th day of February. Ms. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So as part of the bylaw update that you just talked about, we're also obviously looking at changing some of the things that we do in the water department in terms of allocation. So the next few bylaws, the intent of these is just to update them to reflect council's direction that was given in the fall of 2025. So in this particular bylaw, this is the bylaw that council uses to set water and sewer rates. I'm not looking to change the water and sewer rate. The only things I'm adding to this are what we call an excess use rate, which council will see shortly in a few reports here. So the excess use rate is when a user goes over their allocated capacity through a user agreement. So when they go over their allocated amount, they are then charged 10 times what the set rate is in this bylaw. So for example, if someone were to have a set allocation of 500 cubic meters per day, and in this instance they were to use 501, we would then times that cubic meter by 10 for water, and the same would apply in the sewer as well. So $1.51 is what our set rate right now for water, times 10 would be $15.10. And obviously that grows as they use more water.
Thank
Any
you.
questions I can clarify?
Is there anything else that needs to be clarified on that bylaw? No questions, comments. All those in favor? Opposed, seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2025-72, capital charges for water and sanitary connections, moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-72 be a bylaw to set capital charges for water and sanitary sewer connections in the Township of North Dundas be amended as presented this 25th day of February. Ms. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So in light, same kind of item is just reviewing these bylaws and updating them. So a few grammatical and other changes, as well as merging the table. So we're not actually changing the amount we're charging to the users. We're just showcasing one rate instead of the two. We did find that some developers were having a struggle understanding that you can't just buy or water, you have to also buy sewer. It's not an option. So we just merged the rates so it's not part of that discussion anymore, just to clarify.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed, see none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2026-11, Water and Sanitary Sewer Capacity Allocation Bylaw, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Hannibal. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-11 being a bylaw to establish a growth management and development allocation process for the water distribution and sewage treatment systems of the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas be passed and enacted this 25th day of February 2026. I'm sorry, Director Ward. I'm saying Ms. Ward. Director Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is, it is a new bylaw number, but it's not a new bylaw to council. We have done some larger updates to this bylaw, so I'll just quickly go through that so council is aware. So we added, obviously, a definition for water and sewer service agreements, so that'll be new. Again, that'll be the last report that I present, so it's a little ahead of that. We also clarified the method of calculating development allocations. So there was some confusion from developers how that was being applied. So we just clarified that in the document. We also integrated the requirement for anyone using over 500 cubic meters a day that they would have to have a water and sewer services agreement. So that's in this bylaw as well. We've reduced some of the fees to be reflective of the amount of staff time that's required, since now we're obviously moving towards electronic. It's not as much staff time that's required to review files anymore. Council's role remains the same with regards to allocating capacity. So anyone asking for more than 10.5 cubic meters per day, either an increase or a new application, will still come to council. And then the removal of expiration of allocation, as it becomes a little bit confusing for staff. So once allocated and paid for, that allocation remains with the property, not with the individual who paid that. So that's a little bit more clear in this bylaw. And then the removal of Schedule A, because the units will just be calculated based on peak flow. Before we were kind of setting the rates, and it's just easier for us to allocate based on the flows that we have available. So if there's any questions about those changes, Mayor, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions on those changes for Ms. Ward? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And we move on to your last one.
Yeah.
Water and Sewer Services Agreement for large users, moved by Councillor Hannibal, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be resolved that council directs staff to implement water and sewer service agreements with large water users in North Dundas on public servicing in order to ensure equitable and transparent use of water and sewer units and adherence to an allocated water and sewer capacity allocated by staff and council. Director Ward.
Thanks, Mayor. So this allocation agreement has been talked about since actually summer of last year. So the allocation agreement, the purpose of it is to apply a legally binding requirement and financial commitments for large users should they choose to use more water and sewer capacity, or should a new applicant develop here, they would have to enter into this agreement. It outlines service levels for when our system in North Dundas is fully operational, and also when it has some operational challenges. So as council can imagine, from time to time, there may be operational challenges such as climatic factors, such as drought. And there's also instances where we may have operational challenges because, for example, the water tower is offline, or if there's a catastrophic loss to the system, such as a water main break, we may not be able to offer that level of service at all times. So this agreement has some wording in it to protect the township. The agreements will also work to reduce the township's liability to provide a service when unable, and then ensuring the demand on the system is adequately allocated, and also the township is adequately reimbursed for that allocation. So it just kind of makes things clear moving forward about where the financial commitment needs to be made in terms of allocating units for larger parties. So any questions about this, I'd be happy to answer it as well.
Thank you. I just want to say before, not to extend it, the drought certainly did bring attention to the challenges that we face, and I appreciate the clarity that this is going to offer, so we can move ahead. We were sort of swimming, trying to figure out what we're going to do in the past, so I think this offers clarity. So questions, comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Director. The consent agenda. Moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Urick, that be it resolved that all items listed under the consent agenda be approved/filed as recommended. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. I don't see any items for consideration. Any notices of motions? None. Boards and committees. I'll try to speed through this. County Council, the mayor and deputy mayor, I think we had the opportunity to be in Cornwall 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, and which is okay, I guess. And there's no one here from Cornwall, is there? And I'm just joking. It's a wonderful city. I love it. No, but three. All kidding aside, 3 trips from the Dundasses to Cornwall. I found it a lot, and it was just traveling up and down the 401. I don't like. So we did have a presentation on the final budget from Cornwall SDG Human Services, and outlined the challenges that we face. And I don't have all of the details and all the facts of what services Cornwall and SDG provide. So I'm going to look at our CAO. Can you give a quick, 30-second, just like OW, ODSP, and maybe just instead of just the acronyms, what the word?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So, City of Cornwall provides shared services for the SDG, which encompasses Ontario Works program, children's services, as well as housing program, which includes both housing services side of things as well as different programs that are offered. Additionally, Glenstardon Lodge, which is also part of the shared services. Again, just like Dundas Manor, but it is a municipally owned long-term care. In addition to that, I believe shared services also has paramedic services under their umbrella. Typically, City of Cornwall, when they prepare their budget, there is a portion that is contributed from the counties towards that service. So that's in a nutshell what shared services includes.
Thank you. And I guess the reason why I asked, the reason I asked that is a large portion of the municipal taxes go to that. And it is something that we don't often talk about here, and express that is where a large portion of our taxes that go up to the upper tier end up going there as well to support all the things that support those that need support throughout SDNG. And there's lots of good work done in Cornwall on that, on our behalf for that, and I appreciate that. Parade of Lights, nothing. Garden Party Market, I don't have anything. Art in the Waterfront, Councillor Annable?
They're still looking for sponsorship. They have their regular list of people that they go to, and they're trying to get their bands booked for the day. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. CDHS, Councillor Annable?
We had a meeting, and they had voted a new board, new officers, but that was about all that took place that night.
Thank you. Dairy Fest, Deputy Mayor?
It's still going to be a 3-day event, and I have a meeting at 7:30 tonight.
Thank you. Downtown Winchester, one or the other, anything?
Nothing.
And finally, the Morwood Rec Association, Councillor Lennox? Nothing. Thank you. Council comments, nothing. At this point, we're going to move in camera. Mina Muller will act as the clerk for the closed session, moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. That be resolved that Council proceed to closed session at 6:51 p.m. pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001. Section 2392, subsection B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employee, and subsection D, labor relations or employee negotiations. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Welcome back. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Hannibal. Be it resolved that council return to open session at, I'm going to say 7:11 p.m. Does that sound correct? My mic is on. Yeah. We're going to be it resolved that council, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Hannibal. Be it resolved that council return to open session at 7:11 p.m. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moved by Councillor Hannibal, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that staff proceed as directed in closed session. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And adjournment. Moved by Councillor Hannibal, seconded by Councillor Uhrig. Be it resolved that council adjourn at 7:12 p.m. To the call of the chair. All those in favor? And none opposed, that's carried. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention paid tonight. And until next time, take care.